Okay, so here we are today with Andy Abramson and James Bodie, our dangerous demos specialists. How are you guys doing today?
Very well, thank you, Madison.
Doing great.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, why don't you both give us a rundown of who you are, what you work for, what you do?
Okay, well, I'm James Bodie. I think most people know who I am and where I've come from, but if you don't, my background, I did 22 years in the British Army, then kind of escaped, did some dangerous things somewhere else, and then bumped into a gentleman called James Tagg, who decided that he wanted to build a mobile network. And so we spent 10 years doing that, building TruePhone. Um, And then I managed to escape from that about 2.5 years ago and ran off to Northern Ireland, where I set up a new company, a new startup called Kellet Research, where the mission is to build mobile network calls for anybody who wants to run their own 4G or 5G radio network. So
Lovely.
that's me.
All
And
right.
So I'm Abramson. I am someone who has been in the voice over IP industry since 1999. I met James and James when they were just weeby startups at TruePhone. It was at the Bond conference, of all things, in Stockholm, if I remember correctly. And
was
I went
indeed.
And a few weeks later, I was working with them, and we brought TruePhone to America and said the British are coming, and they did. And at one point in time, TruePhone was probably the arch nemesis and rival of Skype through about 2009, 2010. Uh, and we had a lot of fun with TruePhone. Probably one of the most forward-thinking companies that I've ever had the fortune to work with. James was a big part of that. They rolled out the very first soft client where you could have a second number on a Nokia phone. They then took that to other devices. They were first in the iPhone space. Speaking of dangerous demos, James will talk a little bit about that, because if there was ever a dangerous demo, it was the demo at 2007 at Demos Conference in San Diego on a variety of levels, including possibly feeling the wrath of Jobs had we done something wrong, but we didn't. And over the last 15, 17 years, my agency, Communicano and Brand Communication Design, we've worked with dozens of startups. We've exited about 47 of them now for about $5 billion. And we like to propel startups to future success.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you both for sharing. So here we are, just about under 2 weeks from our annual ClueCon conference, and you two have a very special part in that, doing our dangerous demos. So for those of our audience who are not familiar with dangerous demos, would you give us a little bit of rundown on that?
Sure. Dangerous Demos is all about showing off what you can do. Um, People turn up at ClueCon, well, they never turn up at ClueCon thinking, you know what, I'm going to do a dangerous demo, because people don't think that way. They don't work that way. So one of the key bits is going around and pinning people down in corners and convincing them that they're going to do a 3-minute demo. So each demonstration is only 3 minutes. So it's 3 minutes of total energy, fun, fear, testosterone, adrenaline, everything mixed into one. But what is amazing is that people, having done a dangerous demo, come back and go, whoa, that was absolutely brilliant. That's the best thing that I've ever done, sort of thing. It's a bit like jumping off a big high bridge with one of those lumps of elastic on your heels. It's that kind of buzz that you get out of it. So 3-minute demos, we're aiming to do about a dozen-ish demos. We have a variety of different prizes. The main prizes are, firstly, the most entertaining. This is the overall best or funniest, most entertaining demo. Then we have the audience vote, which we normally do before the most entertaining. That is voted for by the audience in a variety of different means. We try and change it every time. In fact, it's totally dangerous one of the more dangerous parts of the dangerous demos. The voting will be run, as in previous years, by my glamorous assistant, Mr. Andy Smith, who will be running the voting from back in UK. So that in itself is dangerous. Hopefully we'll have a cyber appearance of Andy Smith on the big screen just to frighten everybody, frighten the young children anyway. And then the possibly the most sought after prize is the infamous Crash and Burn prize. This is for the demo that goes most horribly wrong. And we've had some brilliant crash and burns in the past. And sometimes you get you get demos that you're absolutely convinced is going to crash and burn, and then it doesn't crash and burn. Oh, and then the fourth prize is a prize that we put in specifically for people like Anthony Minnesala, who is an all-round, just brilliant brain star.
We're pretty fond of him.
Yeah, we're pretty fond of him too. But the problem with his demos is that he manages to make them look totally effortless and not dangerous at all.
Right.
Because that's just the way he is. And so we invented a new prize specifically for that kind of demo called the Swan Prize. So if you can imagine a swan gliding across the surface of a lake with hardly creating a ripple, that's Tony's type of demo. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, you've got lots of stuff going on.
James, always behave like a duck, unruffled on the surface, but paddling like hell underneath. That's what that award is for.
Yeah. That's a great category. I love that. Actually, I do know that Abby Minnesali is going to try to do a dangerous demo this year. So maybe we'll see some
cry. I don't know if it'll work.
Hey, that's okay though, because you've got many opportunities, right?
I win the crash and burn. I'm not a programmer, so this will be my first demo ever. But James Bowie always makes it so fun that I really want to participate. So I'm gonna cheat a little and get my dad to help me. But it's my idea. I'm gonna make it. So I'm excited.
Well, as your dad has already got a pair of prizes, wouldn't it be great if you can get a third one?
My turn.
That's right.
Yeah, indeed. And just to illustrate, these are the trophies. So this is, I don't know if you see that, ClueCon 2019 audience vote. This is what you're competing for. These are lead crystal 3D printed trophies.
Ooh, look, you saw it here first.
And James, you already have them in the box.
Yeah, they're already in the box, ready to go. Only problem is I've got to carry them out. And the problem with these is that they're lead crystal. They weigh a ton. And when you put them through the airport X-ray machine, they come out as a black blob. So guaranteed take the pieces with them. But,
just show them your old security clearance and they'll let you through.
There you go. Good tactic there.
Yeah, apparently I don't look like a terrorist.
You know, Dangerous Demos is all about innovation. And when you think about it, the imagination and the innovation that occurs with the presenters, whether it's the great Anthony Minnesali or whether it's somebody who shows up for the very first time or someone who has an idea. Last year, I think someone created a PBX on a chip, wrapped it up with bubble wrap.
Well, that was Mark from Fusion PBX.
Yeah,
and there's a backstory to that because just before we went on, I went up to Mark and said, what are you going to do then? And he said, well, I'm just going to show you how you can configure Fusion PBX in under 3 minutes. I went, oh, Mark, you can't do that. That's not dangerous enough. You've got to jazz it up a bit. And his face went, ooh. And it came to his slot in the batting order. And he wasn't there, and I thought, oh no, I frightened him away. He's run away to hide because sometimes that does occur, Sometimes it just gets a little bit too scary. But we just got to the end, and Mark and his sidekick burst in. Said, we're here. And what they've been doing is running around outside, stealing all kinds of kit from stands and things like that. And they had to go down to the dispatch office and get a big pile of bubble wrap. And as Andy said, what they did was they got their Fusion PBX application, but put it on a Raspberry Pi W, a little one, with a battery pack, and then wrapped it in 3 layers of bubble wrap. And then they proceeded to throw it into the audience, where the audience played volleyball with it whilst they were configuring it. And that was just so cool.
Yeah, that was a really, really fun time.
We got some really good pictures. If you guys go to our ClueCon Facebook page and go to the album from last year, we got some nice action shots of people they were trying to light it on fire, which I don't recommend. They were across the room.
Yeah, that's Mike Jarrett, isn't it, trying to set it alight.
That sounds about right.
Tried to light it on fire, and I drop kicked it a la Pele across the room, and 2 steps and a drop. And then I think I also did a volleyball serve of it as well, if I remember. But that's the
which narrowly missed Professor Carroll from the IIT by about 2 millimeters, I think. Luckily, she found it amusing, but it might not have been amusing.
But there's been other great demos at Dangerous Demos, and what I really think is that the companies show up, and the camaraderie between the competitors, there's camaraderie and there's competition. But out of some of these Dangerous Demos, likely have come some pretty good ideas for technology that is all built around the central core known as FreeSwitch. And that's what they all have in common, is each and every one of the demos is tied to doing something of what's possible on the FreeSwitch core platform. And in turn,
it doesn't have to be FreeSwitch, but if you want to win a FreeSwitch Pacific prize, you have to use FreeSwitch.
Well, the rest of them are considered not so dangerous because FreeSwitch is.
Well, I'll give you an example of one that's not FreeSwitch. Our good friend Daniel Miela from Kama-Elio took up a challenge. I gave him an Ubuntu handset. It's a pretty kind of mediocre quality handset, but running Ubuntu. And I said, here you are, see what you can get going on that in 24 hours. And he surprised me. He only managed to put a complete mobile network core onto this rather cheapy little handset, and then proceeded to run a complete mobile network on it. And if that wasn't enough, he then cranked up the traffic through it to see how many concurrent calls he could get running through this poor little handset before it melted.
Oh my gosh. See, Dangerous Demo, not the faint of
absolutely
heart.
Brilliant.
Oh, my favorite was, what was it, David, when he was trolling the spammers? I think that was
that was funny as well.
Too, so I'm starting to get them mixed up, but I think it was at ClueCon. It was so fun.
Yeah, and we've had other ones that didn't come off. So our good friend Morsha last year went off. He left ClueCon early because he was going on a camping trip. So, and he and his buddies go out somewhere out in the middle of the forest somewhere and then blow things up. And so he was going to do a demonstration titled Dial 1 to Detonate. And so we were going to do a remotely initiated explosion from ClueCon, but that one didn't quite come off. They don't always come off. But what about other interesting ones that we've seen? How about when somebody tried to take off Dennis's head with a full-size drone? It's a drone, but being controlled through DTMF. through a PBX. The problem with that was there's quite a bit of latency in that, and so it was reasonably uncontrollable. And this drone suddenly took off and made it straight for the front row towards Dennis Kirsten. You know, Dennis from Berlin, but Dennis, being a complete cool cucumber, he just reached up, caught it, and then threw it back again.
Amazing.
You might remember Ben Klang's "Is it going to call my ex-girlfriend or my wife?"
Oh, that was brilliant, wasn't it? Yeah, what he had to do then, he was doing live translation from Italian to English, and then the system was marking him on the quality of his Italian. And if he got it wrong, then it would connect up the ex-girlfriend to his wife. But if he got it right, then it would connect him to his wife. That's what it was.
Oh my gosh.
And for extra tension, I think he deliberately got a couple of little bits wrong, and everybody was going, "Oh, he got that wrong." It's gonna be the girlfriend.
There was also, if I remember, someone was trying to control not a drone but a remote control, large truck or little, one of those little model RC cars. Mm-hmm. It was about a foot or so large, and it would again have to follow the commands being sent through the mobile network over to a free switch connection, and that one I think went down in flames.
Yeah, well, we had robots. So was it a Dalek running up and down the aisle shouting "Exterminate! Exterminate"? You remember that one?
No.
And then there's another Ben Klang one in which he had his missile launcher, and for that we had to put on our protective headwear. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
I was a target, and he had these big crosshairs that he was controlling using WebRTC, and I was a target. But the funniest thing was he completely missed, and he hit Tim Panton instead, which was just beautiful. Anyway,
and part of it, we're mentioning a lot of names of a lot of people, but part of the joy and the fun of coming to ClueCon, and it's now in its 12th or 13th year, I think. We go that
15th anniversary.
15th anniversary, going back to 2004. The part of the joy of going to ClueCon is the friendships that have been developed over the years. I mean, when we think about dangerous demos that have started, James, one of the most dangerous demos that ever started was the pink drinks, which you started with a bunch of the attendees, which, everyone goes to the bar at the hotel. And this year, I think we're still at the same hotel, the Swiss Hotel. Yep. And we all end up having pink drinks, whether it's pink champagne or a glass of rosé or a pink martini or something pink. But the camaraderie of the competitors before and after, and while you're at ClueCon, Dangerous Demos becomes sort of the entertaining aspect of it, but also it becomes the friendship building aspect, because no matter how well your demo goes or how bad it goes, everybody is supportive and everybody is cheering you on to succeed.
Absolutely. And even if you don't succeed, you can still win.
Yeah.
That's right. This is the only competition where failure is an option.
Absolutely.
Clearly,
it's so fun.
For so long.
Only one thing that we don't like, and that's when people do blatantly commercial demos and then they cheat. So we've had one or two of those in the past, but they tend not to win anything at all.
Part of the art of dangerous demos, it can't be too slick. If it's too slick, if it's too good, it's not a demo.
That's true. No.
Well,
and it's not dangerous.
That's good news.
That's true, but you can still win the Swan Prize for that. So if it's super slick and doesn't appear to be dangerous at all, but it's just technically absolutely brilliant. So, Abby, that's your dad all over.
Burn, and he can get the Swan Prize.
Yeah, but that time he won two. You're not supposed to win two at the same time, but he managed it. he did that absolutely technically brilliant demonstration, which he was coding right up to the very last second. And I was thinking, oh no, this is going to be a crash and burn. Tony Miller, he can't crash and burn, and he didn't. And he did the most technically brilliant WebRTC based free switch demo, which actually brought a tear to my eye because it was just so flipping brilliant. Yeah, we tried very hard not to give two at the same time to the same person, but in that case, it was well deserved. Anyway, going back to the people that you meet at ClueCon, every time I go to ClueCon, there's somebody new. For example, was it 2 years ago? We went off to the pizza party, and there was this chap sitting on a table on his own. And first rule of ClueCon is you see somebody sitting on their own, go and talk to them. And that chap was Fred from Uganda. And God, what a brilliant guy he is.
Truly.
And the fact that it took him, 2 years of preparation and planning to get to Chicago. Dear old Fred, who'd never ever been out of Uganda before. Just the amount of energy and drive required to get him out of Uganda and into the United States for ClueCon was pretty amazing, inspiring. So it was great meeting him.
And this year he's bringing his wife along with him this year.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah. Yes, we'll get to meet not the whole family, but a little bit more of the family. We love having Fred around. So now that we've talked about some of the most memorable demos that you guys can think of, what is something that you're looking forward to this year specifically?
Well, I'm looking forward to doing some more stuff with SignalWire. In particular, hooking up SignalWire to our multi-operator neutral host 4G cell service, so that we can use SignalWire to provide the inbound voice and SMS messaging feeds, and also use the platform as an application server to run some pretty clever applications.
That's good. What about you, Andy?
Well, I was just thinking, being that you brought up SignalWire, maybe there should be a best, most dangerous demo done on the SignalWire releases that have been done versus simply on FreeSwitch. And here's why. SignalWire has only been around a year. Everybody has not yet dived into it the way they should. This gives everybody a reason to look a little deeper at some of the things that Anthony and Eric and Evan and the team have cooked up and released. So maybe, and by the way, no one named Minnesali can win a SignalWire prize. Because that would just not be fair. In all contest rules, employees of the company are never allowed to enter the competition and win. Because
well, you know what, we make up the rules as we go along. So
that is all the room in the world for FreeSwitch, which has been around, and which is the way to go. But I think, given the newness of SignalWire, we craft the SignalWire Dangerous Signal Award.
I love that. That's a great idea.
And we'll need an extra 15 to 20 minutes for that, because there'll be other people who will want to compete in that. See, James, this is how I get you the extra time you need.
Yeah.
Very clever.
You're talking
Abby, but seriously, Abby, SignalWire is so new, and there's so many great new opportunities sitting on the stack. And I watch how Eric Lagway every month says, we now can do this, and we now can do that.
So
and
often.
Then I watch. So maybe you can get the team to create a very simple, here's how you start to do a dangerous demo cheat sheet. And then when people arrive, that gets in their arrival pack. And then James, of course, will fly people with pink drinks to do it.
I love it.
Good idea.
Yeah, and remember, it's not only pink drinks. We also have the official cocktail drink of the real-time communications developer, don't we? Which is SipSmith.
Are you
Oh,
breaking
that?
last year?
I've never heard this before. What is
please share.
You've never heard of it?
Abby,
Well,
there's a bottle
because in the past,
bar. Go downstairs to the house, and up on the shelf somewhere there's a bottle of SipSmith, and that's courtesy of James Bodie, I think.
well, I will bring a couple of bottles and all the bits and pieces.
Are you bringing the pink SipSmith?
I like.
Yeah, the
love
only
it.
thing I'm not allowed to bring are the limes, but I think we can probably source some of those locally.
Bring
But
some.
you don't know the backstory to it, because for years I was going around with my little bottle of SipSmith, taking photos of happy developers waving bottles of SipSmith around. I then went to the SipSmith distillery and said, "We've decided that VoIP developers drink SipSmith because it's the obvious thing for a VoIP person to drink, isn't it? SipSmith, because if you're a VoIP developer, you are a Smith and use it. Anyway, I said, will you sponsor me? And they said yes. So I took my Land Rover down to the distillery and filled up the back totally with gin and tonic. But unfortunately, we drank the last of it early this year, so I've got to go back and get some more. So I will be wandering around with my bottles of SipSmith, taking photographs of people, but just be aware that it's nothing more than a very thinly veiled attempt to get sponsored again.
Well, we should probably try and get James. You know those things in the hospital you walk around with, so they have the IV, so you can do your walking around and it's hanging. We should probably get one of those, someone with a creative bent, so we can hang it and then attach a little squeeze gun, and you could be making the pink drinks from SipSmith as you wander around the dangerous demos. That could be
Brilliance. This is what comes out of ClueCon. Just brilliance.
We were
So
making a signal wire signature drink too, so maybe it won't be made out of SipSmith, but I thought it might be
It could be, couldn't it?
It's gonna be blue and then makes purple in the middle. Get it?
Yeah, it has to taste like. Do you remember? Was it last year or the year before? We played the cocktail Wheel of Death in that Chinese restaurant. Do you remember that? So everybody ordered a random cocktail, and we put it on the rotating table, and then gave it a big spin. Well, you probably don't remember it, Abby, because you're just but a youngster.
Yeah, I don't think I was invited to the big kids table at this point in time. I am now.
Yeah. How old do you have to? How are you supposed to be in Chicago before you can drink cocktails? 21.
21.
So you're okay now.
Oh,
Yeah.
or more than, yeah.
Yeah. So it's cocktail time when we get
Woohoo! What was that?
I have the drink. The Signal Wire drink is the Signal Fire.
Ooh, tell us about that.
It has an orange zest salted rim with peach cilantro syrup, fresh lime juice, and jalapeno infused gin. So we can keep using this. It is known as the Signal Fire.
I love it. I love it.
So creative.
See, this is the type of brilliance. Doesn't it make you want to come to ClueCon, audience who's watching this right now? Because this is the type of brilliance that we come up with.
Yeah.
So
are we doing a boat campaign? Are we?
I'm sorry.
Did you know that at Camarillo World, following the success of the ClueCon boat trip, Camarillo World put on a boat trip as well. And I was a bit kind of worried about this because in the middle of Berlin, where do you go on a boat? But believe me, they put on a boat trip, and not only was it a boat trip, but they had never-ending, non-stop drinks and sausages.
Oh.
So, you know, every kind of event has its own signature thing, and Kammer Ilya World in Berlin, it's all about sausages.
I love
so you'll
that.
have to ask Michael Mavroudis about that, and
Yeah,
it has to do with some really interesting sausages that people decided not to eat, but we decided that somebody ought. It would be such a waste not to take them away, so somebody took them away in their briefcase. But they didn't know about it. So you know, there's one particular gentleman whizzing off to go to the airport, and he managed to ended up with about 24 Weisswurst white sausages in there. Just imagine him going through security on a German security screen. What have you got in there? He goes, get in there.
Well, it's time work.
But anyway. And we worked out who it was, because I always thought it was Michael Mavroudis, but he said no, it wasn't him, but it was somebody else that we know and love from Chicago. If you work out who that was, Mr. Sausage. Anyway, we digress.
So, James, if someone's coming to ClueCon and they want to be one of the dangerous demonstrators, how do they sign up? And how, because we only have so many slots, there's only a limited number, and each year ClueCon keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because more people want to come and see what's going on with SignalWire and obviously FreeSwitch, as well as the camaraderie, as well as to have a pink drink. How do they enter the competition?
I am the man to come and see, because I'll be wandering around with this impossibly large iPad with my batting order on, bullying people into doing dangerous demos, whether they want to or not.
So here's the rule. You got to register for ClueCon. You got to be there. You can't just say, I want to be a dangerous demo person and show up to do a dangerous demo and leave. So you got to first register for ClueCon, which is you go to the ClueCon website and you can sign up and pay your money, and then you'll get an email back from the team that Sharon, Madison, and Abby and the rest of the people really make it all happen. They're the ones keeping everybody aware of what's happening and all. You'll get emails, you get confirmed. Then you show up in Chicago somewhere around August 3rd. The first day is the hackathon is August 4th. And you'll find James Bodie wandering around with his, I'm recruiting. I have a couple of open slots left. Here, you can have this one. The person says, well, no, I've got this. No, you can have this one, and you'll get it. Now, so you pay your money, you show up, you find James, and if he likes you and you're one of the anointed 12 or 15, he will put you in. Abby, we've already heard that you want a demo. So I think
your name is already on the list, Abby.
I think we put Abby up first.
No.
Get the Abby. It's the best way to do it. Go up first. There's no opening jitters. You don't have a choice. And, it's the easy. Otherwise, if James puts you last, you'll be walking around like this the whole. Not me. So Abby's first.
Okay.
And by the way, James, will this be the first time we've had a female dangerous demo presenter?
No, we've had lots of lady demonstrators before.
Good.
Yeah, I was just trying to think whether anybody's won. I think Mira from Zoipa, I think she won one year, didn't she? She won an audience vote.
Mira wins at ClueCon, but she loses at security at every airport.
Oh yeah, I've seen that online.
There's a lot of inside. By the way, there's a lot of inside baseball also that goes on at ClueCon, where people who sort of know. So you've got to follow people on Facebook and the trials and tribulations and all. But that's what makes it fun, and that's what builds the relationships. That's what builds the reason to keep coming back and do more and do more and do more on top of the FreeSwitch and SignalWire platforms.
And actually, as you mentioned, following people on Facebook to kind of see what's going on, we do have a special app just for the conference called Attendify. So if you go in your app store and you download the Attendify app and search ClueCon 2019, it pulls up the event. So even if you're a newcomer and you don't necessarily know who to follow or what to be on the lookout for, if you join us on the app, it has every attendee, it has every speaker, it has every sponsor, it has the schedule for each day, and it's a really good way to stay up to date on what's going on. So that being said, and as we are winding down our time together, James, Andy, are there any last minute thoughts, last minute things you'd like to tell our audience out here?
If you're not at ClueCon, you're not clued in.
Yeah, I have to say that ClueCon is one of the very, very best events globally, mainly because of the quality of the people that turn up. Everybody who goes to ClueCon self-selects themselves. And it's not the cheapest of conferences to go to because it takes place in Chicago in the middle of August, which is possibly the most expensive time to go to Chicago. But that aside, it's a must-do. It's the one event in the US that I will always make time for.
Thank you.
Because of the people who go there. It's
James,
all about people.
James, it's the one event we let you in the country for.
No, it's not. No.
Well, we thank both of you so much for coming and for all of the hard work you put in and for how special you really do make our time together. So thank you both so much for coming in, and we'll catch you guys here soon. Not too long at all, just a couple more weeks,
Couple
right?
of weeks.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it immensely. Oh, so exciting.
Demos, Abby, you're up first.
What have I done? Okay.
Right. Now you have the pressure on for the next 2 weeks. And by the way, in closing, what time and what day is Dangerous Demos in case everyone needs to set their watch calendar? What is it?
That Dangerous Demos is on
Wednesday. The last
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah, we've learned, haven't we? Do you remember the year when Sharon decided to put Dangerous Demos on the first day? And I went, because I had precisely half a day to go around and bully everybody into performing. So normally it takes a little bit longer than that to coerce people into performing. So yeah, it's normally on the last day, so we can have a little bit of time to actually convince people that they're going to do it.
Right, absolutely.
The last day of ClueCon this year is my birthday.
Ooh. Extra pink drinks.
Yes, extra pink drinks, and maybe a cake.
A lot of rosé. See y'all. Get clued in. Be at ClueCon. Don't be clued out.
Thank you, guys. All right, take care. Thanks for watching ClueCon Weekly.
Don't forget to give this video a like and a subscribe. And while you're at it, make sure to go and follow all of our other social media channels.
We'll see you right here next week, same time, same place. And catch you at ClueCon.